Hi, my name is Jim Bala. I'm the SnowDogg Tech here at Byers Products. Today's video, we're going to be talking about our halogen plow lights, of how to replace possibly one of the lights that's inside the housing here. You have our high beam, low beam, and then our park and turn on the end here. So a few of the tools that we're going to need for this project would be a flathead screwdriver, possibly a putty knife, a hammer, which has to be used on every project. And then we have a gun drill with an 8mm socket, deep well socket, because we've got to get into that housing. Before we go any further, please smash that like button on YouTube and subscribe and become part of the SnowDogg family. So the first step of taking the lens away from the housing is we're going to get our drill gun with the 8mm socket. And what I'm going to do is we have 4 nuts in the back of the housing here. Okay, the nuts will come off. The stud part of it is part of the lens that will come off. So what we want to do is just loosen the nuts all the way, but not off of the stud. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that 8mm socket, I'm going to put it on the nut, and then I'm just going to tap it, each one of them. And then what it kind of does is breaks the seal maybe just a little bit to help us separate the housing from the lens. So once I do that, looks like I got a little separation. I'll show you that in the next shot. So what I'm going to do now is put the socket back on, and then I'm going to take the nuts off. Of course, I just dropped that one. Try not to lose it. Of course, you put your hand underneath this so you can catch them. I was 1 for 4 on this one, so. Put it in my pocket for safekeeping. So now what I'm going to do is I'm looking at the separation line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the screwdriver, I'm going to pry all the way around the housing to get them apart. So what we have is a seam right here that we're going to start separating. So I'm going to use a screwdriver. Like I said, we did have the putty knife just in case if sometimes if you know, an older light might not separate easy. Remember, these are, water doesn't get in the light for a reason because it has a tight seal. So sometimes that seal, is so tight where you might have to, pry a little bit more. So what I'm doing is I'm going to go with the screwdriver and just kind of go all the way around, gentle, because I don't want to ruin anything here. Also, it's going to be a little bit, it's just not going to flip and fall apart, because what we have also still, you have the nut inside the housing, but there's also an O-ring and a washer in there too that seals it from the back too from water. So it does take a little bit, to get this apart. So as we're seeing right now, which you can't see, but right now the washer came off the stud and it's right here. So there's one of the small washers that came off. So again, I'm just peeling it apart. There's a little bit of time. Again, there's no reason to be in a rush. You don't want to ruin anything. It's almost there. Come on. There we go. And there's the inside of our housing. So you can see the studs here that we had. That's where the nuts are on. Again, inside these little pockets, there's still O-rings. So the next thing we'll do is we'll show you how to take each one of these lights out and go from there. So now that we have the housing apart, I want to talk to you guys about some of the replacement parts that we have. Of course, we have lights. So one of the lights is our turn signal, amber light, turn park. That's on the end here. This is where you put it in. Part number is a 16160744. Then what we have is our low beam, which is our center light. The low beam's in the center. That's part number 16160742A as an apple. Then our high beam is the bulb that's actually on the inside. That's 16160740. Also, what we have is the harness that goes from the lighting harness that goes from the grill up to the lights, through the housing to each one of the lights. So we have a replacement for that, which a lot of people didn't know about. It's a 16160734. And then we talked about the seal. So sometimes if you're peeling it apart and maybe the seal is ripped, make sure you inspect it. You know, I think I took it apart pretty good, but we do have the seal for that too. So it's a 16160732. Also, the lights come in different kits, I guess. So we have a kit for the whole, you know, driver's side, passenger side. So we have that kit, which is 16160700A as an apple. But we also have each individual light separately too, so you don't have to buy the whole kit. Also, what we have is housings for each side too. So if you just break the housing, you don't have to buy the whole light. You get to actually get the housing, and then problem is you got to put all this stuff together. So you got to check out the price point of what's better to have the housing or just a full light. So let's get together now and let's show you how to replace a light bulb. So let's go over each bulb here. So the first one, of course, on the outside is your turn park. So you just twist it, bring the bulb out, and then what you're going to do is just take it, push it in, twist it, and it comes out. So when you replace the light, make sure you put dielectric grease on the connectors, and then look at the bulb itself. You have a pin on one end that's closer to the bottom, and you have a pin that is a little bit further away. So make sure when you put it back in, it goes in the proper way. Okay. So see, that's the wrong way, so I have to just press in, turn it, then I'm going to put it back in the housing, snap it in, and turn this way toward me to lock it in. Now in our low beam, it has like a little clip on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press down and then over, and it kind of frees up the light itself. See how it lifts up a little bit? Let's see, it lift up. So then I'm going to take the bulb and like I said, I'm going to take the bulb, kind of stuck on here. Just got to get underneath the wires, that's all. There we go. So there's your low beam light. Now what you want to do to replace this, same thing. We're just going to, again, you know, try not to touch the halogen part of it, the glass part. Okay. And then what you want to do is make sure you put dielectric grease on the connections. Then you take your new light that was burnt out. Oh, sorry. You're not going to take the new light. You're going to take the light that was burnt out and then put the new light in. Again, there's tabs on the housing. So I'm going to put that back in there. And then I'm going to take that clip again, it has to go underneath the wires. There we go. And then I'm going to press down until it locks in. And then make sure it's seated in correctly. And our final one is our high beam. So what I'm going to do is, again, it's a little different clip, but now this has two little prongs. And I'm going to press down and out, press down and out of this one. And then this, got to get the clip, again, underneath the wire. And there's your high beam bulb right there. And again, it's just a plug and play. There it is. This was burnt out. I'm going to get a new one. Try not to touch the glass. Plug it back in. Carefully put it into the slot. Make sure it's lined up and locked in. And then I'm going to take this clip here. I got one side on, and then I got to sneak it underneath the green wire, which is your high beam wire. And I'm going to get this clip on, and that's all you have to do, and all the lights are in. So once you change whatever light you need to change, dielectric grease it up, and then what I'm going to do is just bring it and kind of just reinstall it. Nice and gentle. Now again, remember there's rubber O-rings and there's washers on the back side here. So you don't want to push those out, but you want to make sure they're still there. Okay, it looks like everything kind of stayed in place. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the nuts back on and tighten it up. I'll show you that in a second. So what I did was I took the lens with the studs on it, and I'm using that socket, an 8mm deep socket. And what I do is I locate the stud and I just kind of press in a little bit to make sure that the washer and the O-ring kind of are seated itself. And then I also get the nuts started. So then I get each nut started. That's 2. I like how that is, but so once I get them all started, what I'm going to do is just gently snug them up with the impact gun, and then I'll come back later with the torque wrench and torque them down to the right specs. But you don't want to torque like one side down, so I'm going to go just a little bit at a time everywhere. As you see, I cross a little bit, just so they snug up a little bit. Well, there you have it. We showed you how to replace your high beam, your low beam, and your turn signals. And also, you learned about some part numbers that you might not know we have, like the seal, the housing, separate lights. So please, smash that like button, subscribe. If you have any questions, always give us a call. Check out our website. Go buy a dog and go chase a storm.